If there's a young girl out there who who'd see this interview and see you as an inspiration, what's the advice you give to them?
I would say take challenge as a good thing. I thrive with challenge. I thrive with change and achieving. That's not always great for your mental buff. I think you're always trying to reach something else.
So I'm going to ask you two questions. First of all, how do you face the challenges that are coming from everywhere? Secondly, in your early years, how do you face the challenges not to close your business down?
We keep up with change, but we still keep true to the brand and what makes us unique. So, we're a doctor-owned company, so we give that personable care.
Question would come up from especially some of the mums out there. How did you do all this while being a mother?
But you have to kind of prioritize, I think, for the long term. I was okay to make short-term sacrifices, but now I make sure that I don't work on weekends if I can help it. I try and pick up the kids every day from school. I start early, so I sacrifice my mornings to be able to do the afternoons. And I think there's no recipe. You just
Bit of a juggle.
It's just a juggle, and you do what you can. There's no right or wrong answer, and it's never perfect.
Welcome to another episode of Talk with Jay. As you know, our program is the one that encourages entrepreneurship. It encourages taking the gamble and following your passion, getting away from the 9 to 5. Today, we have another example of such a person. Dr. Devini Amarathunga, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Devini is a fertility specialist. She's a gynecologist and she's the owner of Life Fertility. Now, in her specialty, she's amongst the 4 of such specialists in Queensland, also amongst the 2% of such specialists in the country. So Devini, I know you got a number of different qualifications, but I think you're a better explainer of this. There's clearly a few of you out there now for what you do. So can we have a bit of an intro about you to start us the program?
Thank you. Thanks for having me here today. I guess it's been a long journey to get here, and initially I was a physiotherapist, so I started that in Queensland many years ago. And then I travelled and I wanted to do a little bit more, and so decided to become a doctor after that. And I've always wanted to do fertility and be part of women's health. So after becoming a doctor, I got into the specialty of Obstetrics and Gynecolology and delivered many, many babies. And thank goodness I don't do that anymore. But after that, I did another subspecialty, which is another 3 years in reproductive endocrinology. So essentially a very long journey.
Has been such a very long journey, and we're quite proud to say that I'm interviewing someone who's very unique, very rare, to say, and congratulations on the journey so far.
Thanks.
So Devini, thanks for that intro. So we've, obviously our program is about encouraging entrepreneurship, encouraging this type of risk that you've taken to start what you have started. And as you can see, you're clear evidence of how successful you've been, and your inspiration to people who will be watching this, obviously. But that journey, no doubt, wasn't easy. And can you tell us what made you think of starting like this, and maybe some of the challenges that came along the way, what made you follow your passion? And when you reflect back on things, how do you feel about all that?
Look, I feel pretty thankful and proud. If I had known that I had to do all of that again, I don't know if I'd do it again. I guess I had my eye on the long game always, and I knew that it takes little steps to eventually get to that end point. And I'm not at the end point, but kind of close to where I wanted to be. And there's really little representation of people like me, I suppose, in the things that I do. And everyone has their own challenges, whether you're a man or a female or black or white or tall or short or whatever. We all have our own challenges, and I think I identified them quite early on and just chipped away at them and slowly got to where I wanted to be. And that's a lot of steps and a lot of support required to do that, and luckily that's something I don't lack. I have a very, very solid support from my family and partner and friends, and I guess that's how I eventually got there.
I could ask you to reflect back on the biggest challenge you've had in terms of the setup, the board, universities established.
Look, I think medicine is challenging. it is very stressful. Being infertility can be very stressful. You give up your, you give up your life. It's a vocation. Your job is something you take home with you. It sleeps with you. He wakes up with you. It's not something you can leave at home. And to get into each part is very competitive. So I think it was challenging being, competing against a lot of other people. Surgical specialties is challenging, and then personally having that clock, that time frame for which having children amongst all of that is quite challenging. And so each bit that you get over, then you face with another challenge, and I don't know about you, but I think when I was younger, I used to look at people who do business and think, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. I don't even know how to open a bank account. And then you get there and you think, you know what, everyone's fumbling the same as you, and you just have to do it. So, I being an owner of Life Fertility has only happened in the last few years, and there was a lot of negotiations with a lot of other fertility companies and a lot of lawyers and business people that I had to deal with. And I often was the only person. I remember being in a meeting a couple of years ago and negotiating. I was the only thing on there, and I had 9 other, all the lawyers, all the accountants, all the managers were all male, and I thought, I don't know what they're talking about. But, I Googled the terms and I slowly, got there. So I think there's challenges along the way. I think there's one specific one that overtook all of them. I think they were all quite important within themselves.
If there's a young girl out there who see this interview and see you as an inspiration, what's the advice you give to them?
I guess I take challenge as a good thing. I thrive with challenge. I thrive with change and achieving. That's not always great for your mental buff. I think you're always trying to reach something else. But, a challenge is a good thing. It makes you achieve. And do call up people. Like, I have so many people and mentors that I've called on throughout my life. I still do, but pick up the phone and they've helped me. And I think surrounding yourself with people who inspired you, who are willing to help, and to always keep your own goals and challenges as what you want to achieve. Don't look at other people. I don't think your goals are different to everyone else's. And I think keep at it. You'll fall, but pick yourself up and keep going. It's nice.
Thank you, Devini. Now, more and more these type of clinics are growing. We are seeing them. And then, so that means competition's growing for you. Secondly, although there's a lot of new businesses starting up, a lot of them do fail in the early stages as well. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions. First of all, how do you face the challenges that are coming from everywhere? Secondly, in your early years, how do you face the challenges not to close your business down?
Yeah, so I think I was lucky in that I didn't start this business, I joined it. When I finished my subspecialty training about a year and a half ago, I had options to join about 5 different places, and it's easy to choose things that are not close to your heart. Like, it's easy to go with just the money or just the fame or success or whatever, but ultimately my main thing that really drove me was the fact that there are not many people like me that are able to own and become a medical director and run the business the way that I wanted to. And life gave me that opportunity, Life Fertility. So Dr. Glenn Sterling, when he approached me and offered me to buy into the business, I thought, wow, this is my only chance really to start my own lab and to have my own clinic. And he was very kind. And so really we looked at our goals, and our goals really align. So that's how I got into that. And I think with your second question, there's so many other, fertility companies. There are so many others, but in a way, head down, bum up, I work really hard to make sure that our brand is our brand. And we try not to veer too much. Doesn't mean that we don't, when things change, like for example, we're implementing a whole new IT system into our business. And you might think that's an easy thing to do, but it takes about 12 to 18 months for that to happen in a business where we see, 1,500, 2,000 IVF cycles a year. we keep up with change, but we still keep true to the brand and what makes us unique. So, you know, we're a doctor-owned company, so we give that personable care. It's cheaper for patients. A thing we offer quite uniquely is one branch of us does bulk billed IVF, and you know that makes it more cost-effective, and it also makes sure that lots of people can access this care. Fertility treatment has traditionally been something that the wealthy can access, but that is completely not what, you know, I want. I want everyone to be able to access this, and so we just keep our ultimate goals aligned and we stick true to our brand, really.
Awesome. Now, you did mention about being in a room before with a lot of males and from different professions, and you didn't know, how to face that early in your career. And now you've gone the distance. You know, you're still. I mean, what you achieve is still, there's a lot to achieve, and you've achieved a lot as well. We're very proud of you for what you've done. The question would come up from especially some of the mums out there. How did you do all this while being a mother? And was it challenging for a woman as well? I'll just throw that question at you as well.
Yeah,
I'm sure you got something to share.
Yeah, look, it was really challenging, but you know, I have many women and men who support me, and I would never have gotten to where I've gotten without them. It takes a village to raise a child, but it takes more than a village to get to, a place where I think, some of us have come to. I remember when I was doing my subspecialty training, I had two children under 4 or 5, and every morning I got up at 4:30 for a year and a half to study for 2 hours, and then do all the kid stuff, then go to work, then come back, do all the paperwork, dinners, all of that, and then do another 2 hours of study. I remember getting up on Christmas Day at 4:30 in the morning. You just have to make your sacrifices. So I kind of killed myself a little bit.
While doing it?
While doing it, but I knew it was short term. And then my poor partner, I had to suddenly move to Sydney. So within 6 weeks, I had to suddenly move to Sydney, and then Brisbane's borders closed. So because of COVID, and I didn't see my family for 6 months. So look, what I'm trying to say is none of it's easy, but you have to kind of prioritize, I think, for the long term. I was okay to make short-term sacrifices, but now I make sure that I don't work on weekends if I can help it. I try and pick up the kids every day from school. I start early, so I sacrifice my mornings to be able to do the afternoons. And I think there's no recipe. You just...
Bit of a juggle.
It's just a juggle, and you do what you can. There's no right or wrong answer, and it's never perfect. I always say you can do everything, but probably not everything at the same time, and you need the support. Even in our profession, you can imagine gynecology, men have a lot of challenges doing gynecology, and in business, I think women have a lot of challenges as well. So it doesn't matter where you come from, you just have to embrace those challenges and utilize what supports you have to get there.
Yeah. So as very proud to hear all of these achievements, and not just that, also very honored to sort of meet with you, who's doing, in my view and in our view, it's a community service as well. You are making a very valuable service accessible to the wider community out there, and also giving a very professional service while you're at it. And you've been through the ups and downs to get to where you are, and we hope you'll go a lengthy journey to achieve a lot more than you have as well. And I'm sure that we'll see that in the years to come. So Dr. Devini Amarathunga, it's a pleasure having you at Talk with Jay by UDAWWA. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.